Indianapolis Public School administrators believe the way to return their students safely back to school is also by starting the school year totally virtual. The IPS board will vote on that proposal in about an hour. RTV6's Cornelius Honker joins us live from the IPS Education Center with those details. Cornelius.
Amanda, this decision is going to have an impact on thousands of parents here in Indianapolis. I talked to two moms who told me a little bit about the struggles they faced in the spring when they were forced to do virtual learning.
It's been hard for me. I have to create an activity, a plan, a speech class, trying to get him to talk and use his words.
There was the stress of the newness of the situation, and that the schools were put in that position overnight, needing to pivot and go online.
Now, both of those moms told me that they had just gotten comfortable with the idea of sending their kids back to school in person whenever this decision, soon-to-be decision, could be announced. So it's thrown a wrench in their plans. And whenever that board makes a decision, we'll be sure to let you know on TV, on our website, and of course, on all of our social media pages. Live in downtown Indianapolis, working for you, Cornelius Honker, RTV6.
And we know there are many questions about how to return safely back to school. That's why our partners at Radio 1 held a virtual Safely Back to School town hall this afternoon, where experts answered questions of parents and others. They shared important information and best practices to help keep your children safe. Kevin.
A day of rain in central Indiana. I'm just listening. The sound of rain is something, isn't it? There it is. 10 out of the last 11 hours we've had rain, and I can see things turning greener as we just stare at the yards. This is much needed in many cases, 3/4 of an inch to an inch of rain. One outlier in Bartholomew County, northeast then of Columbus, over 2 inches of rain. That's our running rainfall amount. It's not a total because we're going to see more, although I think the coverage of rainfall and the intensity of rainfall will diminish this evening. Temperatures, they'll be stuck pretty much in the 70s, barely in the 70s. Okay, some spots not getting rain now. We've got one large area exiting the state, another kind of creeping along Interstate 70. This is going to come back into the metro area and fill in from Rockville to Greencastle to the rest of Hendricks County, and that will bring additional rainfall, maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch rainfall amounts. You can see Indy now. At times today it was fuzzy from the heavier rain. You couldn't see to Indy from Speedway. Temperatures, they're in the lower 70s right now. Between 7 and 9, we'll see the rainfall start to diminish.
And a sad update now to a story from earlier this week. A juvenile injured when a construction site structure collapsed on Monday in Brownsburg died today from those injuries. The collapse happened just after 4 p.m. Monday at a commercial site near State Road 267 and Northfield Drive. At the time, there was a storm in the area, but authorities could not confirm the cause of the collapse. 4 people were taken to the hospital, including the juvenile. The identity has not been released.
Today saw another increase in cases and deaths from coronavirus in Indiana. 970 more Hoosiers tested positive for the virus. Those results all recorded yesterday. The total number now tops 65,000. The overall positivity rate remains at 8.9%. 13 more Hoosiers have died from COVID-19. Those deaths occurred between June 14th and yesterday. That brings the statewide total to 2,746. A death that did not occur in Indiana but is of note. Former Republican presidential candidate Herman Cain has died after battling coronavirus. He was 74 and had been ill with the virus for several weeks. It's not clear when or where he was infected, but he was hospitalized less than 2 weeks after attending President Trump's campaign rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma in June. Cain was an outspoken backer of the president and was named by the campaign as a co-chair of Black Voices for Trump. Meanwhile, President Trump today suggested in a tweet that the November presidential election should be delayed. He claims increased mail-in voting due to the pandemic will result in fraud. But those allegations have not been substantiated. The date of the presidential election is set in federal law and can only be changed by Congress. The president's tweet comes on the same day that we learned the U.S. economy shrank at a record-breaking 33% last quarter as the virus closed businesses and triggered layoffs. Today is also the day the unemployment numbers are out. Nationally, 1.4 million Americans filed for unemployment aid for the first time last week. That's the second straight weekly increase after weeks of steady declines. In Indiana, more than 20,600 new claims were filed. That's an increase of about 2,700 over the previous week. Roughly 930,000 Hoosiers have filed for unemployment since the pandemic began.
Throughout the pandemic, we've showed you here at RTV6 the struggles that small business owners are facing. Many were forced to close their doors. But tonight, as businesses begin to rebound and get back on their feet, our Nicole Griffin is following back up with one owner who says his business is actually benefiting from families staying at home.
During the pandemic, we've told you about how the owner of Moonshot Games had to move all of these products into his garage and start an online store. But now, because families are continuing to stay home and order games to stay entertained, he is seeing success, and now they are expanding. In April, as the city of Noblesville looked to give out grants to businesses that were forced to shut down, we first introduced you to the owner of Moonshot Games.
We're hustling, trying to do the best we can. We launched an e-commerce store, so we're running everything out of my garage.
After receiving grant money, owner Jason Manship says they were able to bring back employees and expand delivery to the Indianapolis market. Weeks later in May, we were there as games were moved back into the store on the square.
We've spaced out the tables for social distancing.
Preparing to finally reopen, Manship took us inside to show us how they are protecting customers.
Now here we are in Mass Ave, a brand new location we just opened this month.
Now Manship owns 2 stores and online business is still seeing major success. At a time when businesses are struggling to bounce back, I asked him how he was able to push through.
When you covered our story from my garage, my store manager in Noblesville moved in with me. He literally lived with my wife and I for 45 days when quarantine was happening, when we weren't allowed to go anywhere. Having those types of folks just jumping in and doing everything they can to make it happen was awesome.
Manship knew the previous owners of the Mass Ave location who decided to move their store all virtual. He says it was the perfect fit. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, RTV6.
The owner of Moonshot Games says the Noblesville store is more of a family atmosphere where the Mass Ave location sells beer, wine, and party-style games. And today, our RTV6 teamed up with Indiana Black Expo for the virtual Hiring Hoosiers Employment Opportunity Fair. Several employers were on hand to fill immediate job openings. If you missed today's event, more events like this will be held again soon. There will be another one in September and another in November. We'll have details as those events get closer.
More to come on RTV6 News at 5, highlighting the bravery of a civil rights icon, the final goodbye for Congressman John Lewis, and the moving words from those continuing with his legacy.
Just the right place, right time.
A woman once credited with saving a man's life, now in need of some help herself. We'll show you how people are coming together to support her.
And we're tracking rain, Greencastle and Cloverdale. More steady rain settling in. We'll look into the weekend coming up.
What a gift John Lewis was. We are all so lucky to have had him walk with us for a while and show us the way.
President Obama joined 2 other former presidents today to celebrate the life of civil rights icon Congressman John Lewis. As ABC's Andrew Dimebert reports, while Lewis spent his whole life fighting for the rights of others, he also spent some of his final moments working to ensure the next generation will do the same.
Final goodbyes. The funeral service for Representative John Lewis taking place Thursday, closing an historic chapter in American history. Former President Barack Obama delivering the eulogy, paying tribute to Lewis's life and legacy.
John Lewis will be a founding father of that fuller, fairer, better America.
2 other former presidents, George W. Bush and Bill Clinton, also attending the private funeral at the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, which Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once led.
We live in a better and nobler country today because of John Lewis.
He kept moving. He hoped for and imagined and lived and worked and moved for his beloved community.
Lewis died on July 17th after a months-long battle with pancreatic cancer. He spent his entire life fighting not just for civil rights of African Americans, but for the rights of all people who suffered social injustices. He played an instrumental role in the passage of the landmark Voting Rights Act in 1965, fought for equality for LGBT Americans, and marched with Parkland, Florida students in wake of the tragic school shooting. He held speeches and led demonstrations, letting his voice be heard so that others would no longer suffer in silence. In making sure his cause lives on after his death, Lewis wrote an essay shortly before he died and was published posthumously in the New York Times. In it, Lewis implores the next generation to keep fighting, telling them it is your turn to let freedom ring.
I am here today to pay tribute to a man that was larger than life.
Hundreds gathered outside of the church while the funeral was underway. While on Capitol Hill, where Lewis didn't just talk change, he walked it, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi offering these words about her friend and colleague.
We always knew he worked on the side of the angels, and now he is with them. May he rest in peace.
Lewis's final resting place, the Southview Cemetery in Atlanta, Georgia. Lewis spent more than 3 decades in Congress representing Georgia's 5th congressional district, and it is in that state where he will rest in peace. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
A Greenfield woman once credited with saving a man's life, now turning to the community for a little help herself as she battles stage 4 colon cancer. Megan Sanctorum shows how people are stepping up to help.
This is Angel Dudley. We first introduced you to her back in 2017 when she stepped in to help a man who cut his arm on a broken window and ruptured a main artery. She says she was just at the right place at the right time, but she also knew what to do, and she jumped into action, wrapping his arm in a jacket and then taking her belt off and using it as a tourniquet. She was able to stop any further blood loss and keep him alive until the ambulance arrived. Now, others are coming together to, in a way, help save her life, too. Dudley has started aggressive chemotherapy treatments, and she says medical bills continue to add up. Her sister started a GoFundMe account to help with those expenses. So far, dozens of community members have contributed, saying she always does for others. So now it's their turn to do the same for her.
I've always tried to help people pay it forward, all that kind of stuff. And so to have it come back on me is strange. It's a very weird feeling for me because I've always wanted to help people, and now I need help.
So far, people have donated more than $1,100 to help Dudley out. She says she's determined to beat cancer, and this puts her one step closer to doing that. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
And if you want to read more about her life-saving actions, we have a link to that story on our website. Now, Kevin, you know how much I love the sunshine and the good days we've been having, but we needed a day like today.
And we got it, and we have a few more in the forecast. Every day is a great day for me. This happens to be a great day with rain across central Indiana. And it's not about the haves and have-nots. We should have all seen at least some rain today, heavier in spots than others, but that's typical for an event like this. As we look forward, our next widespread rain arrives Saturday. Some of that could be heavy. You could see some spots with 2 inches or more Saturday. Rain chances will come down on Sunday. Let's live in the moment, and temperatures are quite cool for this time of the year as we are in the final hours of the month of July. 72 in Indianapolis, 69 in Martinsville. Temperatures pretty uniform because we've all got the cloud cover, whether you have rain at this moment or not. There's general light rain from Muncie all the way back to Lebanon and Crawfordsville. We'll zoom in. A little heavier rain just crossing State Road 52, Lebanon, and then across 421 as you go from Boone into Hamilton County. This area of rain sliding to the northeast, a little heavier around Greencastle at Cloverdale, through Rockville and the southern portions of Park County and Terre Haute covered up with the rain, moving to the east-northeast. The overall coverage and the intensity of the rain will diminish, and so will the probability of rain, obviously. As we go through the night, I think rain kind of diminishes. Don't forget the Storm Shield app, since there's rain potential in the forecast nearly every day. Storm Shield app is helpful. It's a weather radio for your phone. Of course, you can control the radar as well. If you have outdoor plans, you can see how close the rain is to you. It's free. Temperatures tomorrow, again, in the low 80s, upper 70s across central Indiana, below average for this time of the year. As we step into the weekend, the first weekend then of the month of August, 78 Saturday, temperature 80 on Sunday with the scattered thunderstorms, most likely Saturday. I don't think this model's capturing all of this, but you see the moisture lifting to the north, and once again, it will be the southern half of the state with the best chance for thunderstorms and some of that heavier rainfall. This model predicting here, you can see the greens, the cooler 70s. That's showing the band of rain that will impact our temperatures. On Sunday, 80 degrees, just a 30% chance of thunderstorms, more widespread rain potential on Monday. If everything was turning brown around your house because of the need for water, I think we should be turning it the other way, turning green as we go into August with this rainfall and cooler pattern. Temperatures no warmer than 81 the entire 7-day planner. We've got a couple days next week where temperatures will be in the 50s.
Sounds like it's going to be comfortable. Thanks, Kevin. Up next here on RTV6, kids taking the stage and the screen, a virtual talent show with a military twist. And tonight you'll meet the Hoosier representing our state with her amazing gift.
A program highlighting children of military service members is hosting a virtual talent competition tomorrow night. And one Hoosier made the list of finalists. Regan Lawson's father received a Purple Heart from his service in Iraq. And now the Clark Pleasant middle schooler is showcasing one of her talents that also helps her get through uncertain times. Lawson submitted a video of her singing to the Military Kids Have Talent virtual competition through the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. There are 38 finalists in 5 age groups, and the virtual talent competition allows them to compete against kids from as far away as Okinawa, Japan during this pandemic.
When we were young, when we were young, when we were young, when we were young.
I really like singing. It's something when I'm like in a low state or really like anxious or in a really bad state of mind. It's something that helps me feel better about what's going on or just in general. And I mean, it could be something I could pursue when I'm older.
Now, Reagan needs your help starting Friday at 8 p.m. You can go to hiddenheroes.org/talent to watch the video submissions. You can then vote for Reagan anytime through August 14th. We are wishing her the best of luck. Still ahead at 5:30, PPE. It's not only for those in the medical field, a huge undertaking to make sure schools have everything they need to keep everyone safe.